Okay, so you want to own a car wash. Drive-through tunnel, spinning brushes, hot air blasters, cars rolling out spotless. You collect the money, the machine does the work, and you spend your afternoons doing something else. Sounds like the perfect business. And honestly, from the outside, it really does look that way. But here is what people who actually invest in this business know, and what most people on the internet never tell you. An automated car wash is not a vending machine you plug in and walk away from. It is a complex retail engineering business that happens to clean cars. The margins are real, the risks are real, in ways that most people never see coming. Let's start at the beginning. When people say automated car wash, they usually picture one thing: a tunnel. You pull in, your car gets grabbed by a moving belt, it travels through a series of machines spraying water and soap and wax, and it comes out the other end dry. You never get out of the car. You barely interact with another human being. That is the express exterior conveyor tunnel, and it is the format that has taken over the entire industry. The reason is simple: speed and volume. A well-run express tunnel can process somewhere between 100 and 200 cars every single hour during peak periods. A hand car wash with 10 workers cannot compete with that. An old-style rollover machine that washes one car at a time definitely cannot compete with that. The entire business model is built on throughput, pushing as many cars through as fast as possible, with as little labor as possible, while charging customers just enough that they come back again next week without thinking twice about it. That last part is where the real money is, not the one-off wash, the repeat customer. And more specifically, the customer who pays you every single month whether they show up or not. We will get to that. Here is something that surprises people when they first look at this industry. Car washes are remarkably resistant to economic downturns. The United States currently has around 289 million registered vehicles on the road. The average vehicle today is 12.8 years old, the oldest average ever recorded. When people drive older cars, they tend to take better care of them, and one of the cheapest ways to maintain paint, prevent rust, and preserve resale value is to wash regularly, then add the seasonal factors: road salt in winter, dust and pollen in spring, bird droppings in summer, bug splatter in fall. In cold weather states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, or Michigan, that road salt is genuinely corrosive. It eats through the undercarriage if you leave it sitting. That is not a luxury wash. That is maintenance. About 80% of American drivers now use a professional car wash rather than washing at home. A 5-minute automated tunnel wash costs $15 and the car comes out cleaner. Nobody wants to spend their Saturday afternoon crouching next to a garden hose. That is the baseline demand. Stable, seasonal but not fragile, and increasingly predictable, because the industry figured out how to turn that demand into a subscription. Before you spend a single dollar, you need a piece of land. And finding the right piece of land is harder than almost anything else in this business. The ideal site needs between 15,000 and 35,000 cars driving past it every single day. Not a highway. Highway speeds are too fast for drivers to safely turn in. You want a secondary road with a speed limit between 25 and 45 miles per hour, giving a driver roughly 40 seconds of visual exposure to see your sign, decide, and pull in safely. Less than that, and you are invisible. You also want to be on the right side of the road for evening commuter traffic heading home. Nobody makes a left turn across 3 lanes of rush hour traffic to get their car washed. They drive past you every day and never stop. And you want to be near high-traffic retail destinations: a grocery store, a big box retailer, a shopping center. The decision to get a car wash is almost always impulsive. You need to be in the right place at the right impulse moment. A prime corner lot in a major suburban market, the outskirts of Atlanta, Dallas, or Phoenix will cost somewhere between $500,000 and $2 million just for the land. Before a single shovel of dirt has been moved, commercial zoning approvals for car washes are notoriously difficult to get. Local municipalities often classify them as high-impact businesses, requiring environmental reviews, drainage assessments, noise studies, and architectural approvals. In some municipalities, the permit process alone takes 12 to 18 months. You are paying carrying costs on land that generates zero revenue, while local officials decide whether your car wash is an appropriate addition to the neighborhood. The cash burns before a single car ever enters your tunnel. You have the land. Now you need a building. And this is not like building a simple retail store. A car wash tunnel is a specialized industrial environment. High moisture, industrial chemicals, constant vibration. The concrete has to be reinforced and sealed with chemical-resistant coatings, or it will crack within a few years. The plumbing has to be stainless steel or heavy-schedule industrial pipe. The electrical service needs to be massive. A typical express tunnel requires between 400 and 800 amps at 480 volts. 3-phase power. That is the kind of electrical service you see in small factories. Then you need the vacuum plaza, 15 to 30 individual stalls with overhead canopies, underground suction piping, and proper drainage. Those stalls add cost and footprint, which is why you need a lot of at least 35,000 to 50,000 square feet. And then the waiting lanes. A well-designed facility needs stacking capacity for 30 to 50 vehicles before the entry kiosk. Without that, your waiting cars spill onto the public road, a traffic hazard that can get your permit pulled. Total construction costs for a properly built express tunnel, from site preparation to finished building, typically run between $800,000 and $1.2 million on top of the land before a single piece of wash equipment. A sample project budget allocates roughly $1.5 million for land, $1.2 million for construction, and $800,000 for tunnel equipment, coming to a total capital requirement of around $3.9 million just to open one location. Now comes the part that most people think of when they imagine a car wash: the equipment inside the tunnel. The conveyor belt is the foundation. It grabs your front tire and pulls your car through the entire sequence at a controlled speed. Modern express washes have moved from old-style chain systems toward wider dual-belt designs that are gentler on wheels and more forgiving for entry errors. This matters because vehicle damage claims are one of the most consistent headaches this business deals with. Running the length of the tunnel are foam applicator arches, high-pressure water nozzles, rotating foam brushes along the side and top, wheel scrubbing rollers at the bottom, chemical injection ports for wax and sealant, and at the exit, a row of high-velocity blower dryers powered by 5 or 6 separate motor units. Controlling all of this is an industrial computer system connected to infrared sensors and cameras that track each vehicle as it moves through. The system adjusts chemical dosing and brush timing based on the vehicle's dimensions. A high-end equipment package from a major supplier like Sonny's, National Car Wash Solutions, or PDQ Manufacturing runs between $300,000 and $600,000 for the tunnel equipment alone, before installation. Add the payment kiosks, touchscreen terminals with credit card readers and license plate recognition cameras, and you are adding another $50,000 to $100,000. This is why people say the car wash business is capital intensive. You are not opening a sandwich shop with a few refrigerators and a grill. You are building a miniature automated factory. A busy express tunnel wash uses somewhere between 30 and 70 gallons of fresh water per vehicle. Run 200 cars through on a busy Saturday, and you are looking at between 6,000 and 14,000 gallons in a single day. That volume of water at municipal utility rates adds up fast. This is why every modern express wash installs a water reclamation system. The wastewater from the tunnel floor, the dirty, soapy runoff, gets captured in underground settling pits. Solids settle to the bottom. The water gets pumped through filters, treated with aeration to kill bacteria and prevent odor, and then recycled back into the wash cycle. A good reclamation system can recover up to 90% of the water that enters the tunnel, reusing it for the initial wash stages. Only the final rinse uses fresh, fully purified water run through a reverse osmosis system that strips out dissolved minerals, the ones that leave those white spots on your car after a wash. Eliminating them is what separates a professional result from a garden hose result. Water recycling is not optional anymore. In many Western states, California, Arizona, Nevada, local water authorities can impose drought restrictions that force businesses to reduce consumption. A car wash without recycling infrastructure in a drought-prone market is one bad summer away from a forced shutdown. Let me explain something that the car wash industry figured out a long time ago. The soap that goes into your basic wash costs the operator about 12 cents per car. The foaming Carnauba wax that goes into the mid-tier wash costs about 22 cents more. The tire shine costs about 18 cents. The ceramic sealant coat at the top of the menu costs about 45 cents. So the difference in chemical cost between the basic wash and the premium wash is roughly 63 cents per car. But the difference in what the customer pays? $5 to $8. That is the mathematics of premium upgrades. The ceramic coat that adds 45 cents in material cost lets the operator charge $8 more. The margin on that upgrade is over 90%. The entire premium pricing strategy is built around one insight. You are not selling a different car wash. You are selling a slightly different chemical sequence that costs almost nothing extra to deliver. This is also why the menu design at the entry kiosk matters. The highest priced option always goes at the top or left of the screen, not because most people buy it, but because seeing a $40 premium option first makes the $25 mid-tier feel like a reasonable, responsible choice. The anchoring effect. The customer who was going to spend $12 on the basic wash now spends $25 on the deluxe and feels good about the decision. The motors in a car wash tunnel never stop running during operating hours. High-pressure water pumps, drying blowers, air compressors. the conveyor drive, vacuum motors across 30 stalls, LED lighting, kiosk screens. A standard express tunnel consumes between 1.5 and 2.5 kilowatt hours per vehicle wash. On a busy day washing 800 cars, that is 1,200 to 2,000 kilowatt hours in a single day. Monthly electricity bills at a busy location run from $8,000 to $20,000. There is a compounding problem. Every time a large motor starts, it draws a surge of current, sometimes 3 to 5 times its normal load, for the first few seconds. Utilities charge businesses based on peak demand, not just total consumption. That demand charge can represent 30 to 50% of the total monthly electricity bill. Smart operators install variable frequency drives on their motors, which ramp them up gradually instead of starting at full power, smoothing out demand spikes and reducing the utility bill meaningfully. Here is one of the genuine advantages of this business model. You do not need many of them. A traditional full-service hand car wash might employ 15 to 30 workers per shift. Payroll at that scale can easily consume 40 to 50% of every dollar the business brings in. That is not a margin. That is a staffing agency that occasionally washes cars. An automated express tunnel runs on 3 to 5 people per shift. A general manager handling operations, marketing, and reporting. A maintenance technician who can fix a failing pump bearing or replace a brush segment without calling an outside contractor. And 2 or 3 customer service attendants at the vacuum plaza handling membership inquiries and upselling. Labor runs at roughly 18 to 25% of revenue at a well-run express tunnel. Compare that to 40 to 50% at a hand wash. That difference is the entire financial story of why this business model won and why private equity firms started paying attention to it around a decade ago. There is a specific category of expense that catches first-time car wash owners completely off guard. It is not the utilities. It is not even the loan payments. It is maintenance. A car wash tunnel runs 8 to 12 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. The brushes are spinning thousands of times per hour. The pumps are cycling constantly. The conveyor bearings are rotating nonstop. The chemical injection nozzles are dispensing thousands of times per day. Everything inside a tunnel is in a state of continuous mechanical stress, inside a damp, corrosive, chemically active environment. Brush segments wear down and have to be replaced before they begin scratching vehicles. Pump seals fail. Bearings overheat and seize. Belts slip and have to be retensioned or swapped out. Sensors drift out of calibration and have to be realigned. Structural steel components develop surface rust and need treatment. Industry data suggests that well-run locations spend between 8 and 12% of their total revenue on maintenance and equipment reserves every single year. At a location doing $1.2 million in annual revenue, that is between $96,000 and $144,000 a year, just keeping the tunnel running. And that number assumes you are being disciplined about preventive maintenance, checking things before they fail, replacing parts on a schedule rather than waiting for a breakdown. The operators who skip preventive maintenance to save money in the short term end up spending dramatically more when something fails without warning on a busy Saturday afternoon, and the tunnel goes dark for 4 hours of peak revenue time. Downtime at a well-run express wash is not a nuisance. It is a financial emergency. Now let's talk about the income side. A typical express tunnel prices at services like this. A basic exterior wash for around $12, a deluxe package with wax for around $18, a premium with ceramic coating for around $25, and an unlimited monthly membership for around $40. The membership is where everything changes. When you pay $40 a month for unlimited washes, you can come in every day if you want. Most membership customers visit 2 to 4 times per month. At 2 visits, the operator collects $40 and spends roughly $8 to $10 total in variable costs. The rest is nearly pure operating profit. More importantly, that $40 arrives automatically on the same day every month, regardless of rain, cold snaps, or whether the customer is traveling. The membership converts a weather-dependent, impulse-driven business into something that looks much more like a subscription service. Mr. Car Wash, the largest chain in the country with over 548 locations across 21 states, reported that subscriptions accounted for roughly 76% of all wash sales at its most recent reporting period. The company carried approximately 2.3 million unlimited Wash Club members paying monthly. That recurring base is what makes the model compelling enough that private equity firms spent over $10 billion buying into this industry over the past decade. On a typical weekday, a well-positioned single location might run 250 cars at an average of around $15 each, roughly $3,750 in retail revenue, plus the pro rata share of membership income. on peak weekend days. Saturday is by far the biggest day in this business. The same tunnel can see 800 to over 1,000 cars. Across a full year, a strong location in a good market generates between $1.2 and $2.5 million in total revenue. Now we subtract the reality, labor at 18 to 25% of revenue, chemicals and supplies at 5 to 8%, electricity and utilities combined at 7 to 10%, equipment maintenance and reserves at 8 to 12%, property taxes at 2 to 4%, insurance at 2 to 3%, marketing and membership acquisition at 3 to 5%, administrative overhead and technology systems at 4 to 6%. And finally, debt service, the loan payments on the $3 to $4 million you borrowed to build this place, at 10 to 15% of revenue. When you add all of that up at a well-run location, you are spending somewhere between 55 and 65 cents of every dollar you bring in. That leaves an operating cash flow margin, the number that investors and lenders actually care about, of somewhere between 35 and 45%. On a location doing $1.5 million in revenue, that is between $525,000 and $675,000 in operating cash flow per year, before your loan payments and taxes. That is genuinely attractive compared to most retail businesses, where you are lucky to keep 10 cents out of every dollar. But here is the problem. You borrowed $3 to $4 million to build this location. At current commercial lending rates and typical loan terms, your annual debt service, the combined principal and interest payments, might run somewhere between $280,000 and $360,000 per year. Subtract that, and your net profit on a good year at a single location might be somewhere between $150,000 and $350,000 on a $3.9 million investment. To fully pay back your initial capital at those net profit levels, you are looking at somewhere between 11 and 26 years. That timeline depends heavily on whether membership enrollment grows, whether a competitor opens next door, whether your equipment holds up, and whether the local economy holds steady. The financial risk that is hardest to plan for is equipment failure at the worst possible time. If your conveyor motor fails on a Tuesday morning, that is inconvenient. You lose a few hours of revenue while the technician fixes it. If your conveyor motor fails at 10 in the morning on the Saturday before Christmas, when there are 47 cars stacked in your waiting lanes and every membership customer in your area is trying to clean their car before the family arrives, that is a different problem. You lose your single highest revenue day of the year. You have 47 frustrated customers who drove past other options to get to you. And some of those customers, if it happens to them twice, will start looking at the new car wash that just opened 3 miles away. Speaking of which, competition is a real and growing risk. Private equity firms spent the better part of the last decade aggressively building express tunnels across the United States. At the peak of that build-out in 2023, the industry was opening somewhere between 800 and 900 new tunnels per year. In many suburban markets, that means there are now 2, 3, or 4 express tunnels within a few miles of each other, all competing for the same membership dollars. When too many tunnels chase too few customers, prices fall. In some markets, the monthly membership price fell by 6% in a single year as competitors matched each other's promotions. The correction that followed was severe. Zips Car Wash filed for bankruptcy protection in February of 2025, carrying $653.9 million in debt, taken on to fund rapid expansion into markets that were already becoming saturated. Driven Brands, which had spent roughly $3 billion assembling a national car wash division, sold the entire U.S. operation to Whistle Express for $385 million, a loss of well over $2 billion. The lesson is not that car washes are a bad business. The unit economics at the individual location remained solid throughout. The lesson is that overpaying for growth and over-leveraging the balance sheet to fund rapid expansion into crowded markets will destroy value even in a business with excellent fundamentals. If you own one car wash, you are fighting with one hand tied behind your back. Your chemicals cost more per gallon than they do for an operator with 20 locations who buys in bulk directly from manufacturers. Your maintenance technician can only be in one place, so anything beyond his skill level means calling an outside contractor at emergency rates. Your membership only works at your single location, while the regional chain with 10 locations offers membership valid anywhere in the metro area. Operators who build regional networks can share management functions across sites, reducing overhead per location. They negotiate utility contracts, chemical supply agreements, and equipment service contracts at volume pricing. They hire a dedicated maintenance crew that rotates across locations. and they can offer a membership that is genuinely more compelling than anything a single site independent can match. This is why the industry has been consolidating so rapidly. The top 10 operators in the country still control only about 4.5% of all US car wash locations, which means thousands of independent operators are at a structural disadvantage, paying more, earning less, and slowly losing membership customers to the regional chain that just opened a mile away. Let's be direct about this. The word you keep seeing on social media and in investment pitches is passive. Automated car wash, passive income. Machines do the work. You collect the money. You enjoy your life. Here is what actually happens. Your conveyor sensor malfunctions at 6 in the morning and your manager is calling you. A membership customer is disputing a charge and threatening to leave a bad review. Your water recycling system triggers an alarm because the bioremediation unit has developed a bacterial bloom and now the water smells like sulfur, which means your membership customers are not coming back until you fix it. Your highest performing attendant just quit for a job at the Amazon warehouse across town that pays $3 an hour more. None of this happens on a schedule. The operators who build profitable car wash businesses are not passive about any of it. They review daily site reports. They monitor membership retention rates and flag locations where churn is rising before it becomes a financial problem. They build relationships with equipment suppliers so they can get priority service when something breaks. What you are buying with an automated car wash is not a passive income stream. You are buying a business that has excellent unit economics if it is run well, and mediocre or negative economics if it is run carelessly. Let's run the numbers two ways. In the best scenario, you find an excellent location on a high-traffic suburban commuter road in a market without a nearby competitor. You open strong, build your membership base to around 1,200 members within the first 18 months, and settle into an annual revenue run rate of about $1.8 million. Your operating expenses, well managed, run at around 58% of revenue. Your operating cash flow is around $756,000. After your annual loan payment of around $320,000, you are netting roughly $436,000 per year. At that rate, you recover your initial equity investment in about 8 to 9 years, and from that point forward, the site generates meaningful free cash flow. In the realistic scenario, a second express tunnel opens 1 mile away 18 months after you do. Membership growth stalls. You run a promotional membership at $34 to compete, giving back $6 per member per month. Your maintenance costs run higher than projected, your site is busier than expected, and the brushes wear faster. You have one major equipment failure in year 2 that costs you a new conveyor motor and a lost weekend of a peak revenue. Your operating expenses end up at around 65% of revenue, not 58%. Your annual net, after debt service, is somewhere around $140,000 on a $4 million investment. The difference between those two outcomes is not the fundamentals of the business model. Both of those sites are running the same equipment, same membership concept, the same chemical programs. The difference is location quality, competitive timing, and operational discipline. That gap between the excellent outcome and the merely acceptable one is what makes this business far more demanding than it looks from the outside. The car wash industry generated an estimated $20.7 billion in revenue in 2025. There are real fortunes being made in this business, built by people who understood site selection, maintained their equipment religiously, grew memberships patiently, and reinvested profits into additional locations rather than spending them. The people who lost money, and there were many in the last 3 years, were mostly people who believed the passive income story and let someone else run something that required their full attention. The machine cleans the car. It does not run the business.